Hi guys, welcome to this video. This is the fourth installment in my Roland FA video tutorial series. Um, and what this tutorial series is about is explaining to everyone how I use the FA in order to accomplish the things that I need to do. I'm a church musician, so I play gospel events and Sunday services, etc. And so I have a specific way that I need to set up my sounds. Also, I don't always have other musicians with. I don't always have a drummer and I don't always have a bassist. So I've compensated for that in my FA, and I would encourage you to check out video number 2 in how I set up the studio set um, in order to compensate for possibly not having a drummer and possibly not having a bassist. It's absolutely great. This is a versatile keyboard, mid-range workstation. I actually don't like using the word mid-range because, in my opinion, it does everything it's supposed to do, and it's, in my opinion, definitely higher than a mid-range workstation. But be that as it may, that's just my opinion. You know, other guys are going to feel differently. In this video, I want to discuss the drum pattern in a drum machine. In the previous video, we created in the sequencer all the drum parts that we would possibly need in the drum machine. Today, I'm going to show you how I use that, how I transfer that over into the drum machine and how I use that and set it up, right? Now, if I just go shift and rhythm pattern, you'll see that there it pulls up the drum machine, but that's a preset, right? If you want to build your own, you would need to go on preset, select user, and I've already done a couple of things, so go to an empty one, and then this is where you would typically then start doing your things, right? I'm going to go out again. Right. Now, we have built 5 drum parts that I want to use in my drum machine. We've built in the sequencer. And how you transfer that into the sequencer, into the drum machine, is you have to pull it up in the sequencer first, and then you load it into the drum machine. So pull it up, everything that you want to transfer into the drum machine, pull it up in the sequencer first, and then you transfer it over. So you click sequencer, song select, you go to whatever you want. Let me just see where we are. Okay, there. We started at 126, yes. So I load that. I click OK. So now the song selected in my sequencer is the loop, right? How I transfer that then into the drum machine is I go shift rhythm pattern, shift import song, and there you can see track 10 loop ready to be imported into a user space in the drum machine. I select the space that I want to save it in. So let's start here at number 18. Okay, so I select. Yep, that's definitely what we built. So I execute and okay. And that I do then for all the parts that I've built in the sequencer. So that's quite quick. So I go sequencer again, song select. I go to the next part, verse 1, load, okay. Shift rhythm pattern, shift import song. There's verse 1, and I put it in the next space, execute, okay. Then I go again, sequencer, song select. I pull up the full one, load, okay. Shift rhythm pattern, shift import song, next space, execute, okay. I hope I'm not going too fast, but this is just a repetition of what I showed you and on how to transfer the loop. So then we go sequencer, song select. We go verse 2, load. Okay, so now verse 2 is pulled up on the sequencer. You go shift rhythm pattern, shift import song, and we have verse 2 there. Then we go sequencer again, song select, full 2, load, okay. Shift rhythm pattern, my voice is going. Shift import song, next space, execute, okay. Then we go sequencer, song select, ending, load, okay. Shift rhythm pattern, shift import song, and we have the ending. So now we have transferred one by one all the parts that we had in the sequencer over to the drum machine, right? So everything that we need now is in the drum machine, but it is not in the order that we want it yet. Now we have to create the group for us to use those patterns that we just transferred into the drum machine. We now need to put it in a group. So we go to preset, we scroll down to user groups. There's my empty one. Is it the next? Yeah, number 3 is an empty one. Okay. Then I go down to the parts. Okay. And here is a nice little trick that I've learned from experience. I don't put my intro there, and I don't put my verse 1 there. I actually start my intro, which in our case is our loop. I actually start it there on full 1. Then I do verse 1, I do there. And then I do full 1 there. And I'll explain all of this. Ending stays at the end. I mean, that's just easy. And then in the intro, I actually do full 2. I do full 2. And there after full 2, I put verse 2. Okay. My voice is really going. Okay, so I actually start loop, which is my intro, loop, verse 1, full 1, and then I have, which in traditionally would be the space for the intro, I have my full 2 and then my verse 2. Now, why would I possibly want to do that? Oh, before we get there, let's just save this. Okay, so we go shift, right? We want to save this group now. Let's actually call it, let's use that space. Let's rename it and let's say, okay, right, okay. Okay, so why would I have this strange format or grouping of all the individual parts? Why wouldn't I put the intro there, which would be my loop, the intro there, verse 1 there, and then full 1, verse 2, full 2, and then the ending? The reason for that is it has everything to do with this block. This block, after it has played the part that's in here, it automatically goes over into that block. All right? Now, that is both a blessing and a curse. The curse comes in, I'm going to select group 1, so I'm in my piano. If you don't know what group 1, keyboard switch group 1 is, you have to watch the previous videos. Okay? The reason for that is I don't necessarily want that loop to automatically go over to the next part. I actually want it to just loop and wait for me until I go over to the next one. So what I do is I trigger in. Now in the type of church that I play, the pastor talks, or there's the speaker that talks, and I'm just laying back. I'm just laying back with the loop and just listen how nicely that sounds. And I'm bringing in my strings. That sounds absolutely awesome. But I actually just want to wait there, right? I want to wait there Now the worship team comes up. Right, the worship leader comes up. And he or she is signaling me, and they give me the song that we want to do. Well, actually, I already know the song that we're going to do. That's why I loaded up this drum set. So the loop is playing. Okay, and then we go. And I'm just going to sing, what can I sing? Okay. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, 'cause it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the things I've made it, 'cause it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, 'cause it's all about you. It's all about you. Group 5 with the bass. I'm sorry, Lord, for the things I've made it, 'cause it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, 'cause it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the things I've made it, 'cause it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm turning back to the heart of worship, 'cause it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the things I've made it, 'cause it's all about you. It's all about you. I missed it there. I missed it there. But you get the picture. You get the idea. That is why I chose to rather slot the parts that we've built in this way, rather the loop there, because now I can sit back. I can wait there. Okay. Periodically bring in my strings. Strings out. Strings in. I'm coming back. Okay, I'm not gonna do that again, but you get the picture. I mean, so that's the drum machine. This is sort of my full preparation for a typical Sunday, a typical Sunday morning, or a gospel event, or if ever I need to go somewhere and do an item, etc., etc. The reason I say this is sort of because there are other effects, like, and you can dig in deeper. There's flanges, there's bit crushers, there's so many effects in here that I haven't even touched on in these tutorials. But I wanted to show you very high level how I set up my studio set, how I prepare the sequencer, how I import everything that I've done in the sequencer, in the drum machine, in what format I set it up. I don't start the loop on the first block. I actually started on the third block, etc., etc. And yes, I have now made mistakes in when to trigger this, but just imagine on a Sunday, I am typically not leading worship as well, so I can actually pay attention to what I'm doing. If I'm leading worship, I would actually prepare it differently. In fact, I use Ableton for that because then I can automate a lot of stuff. So um, I would I would very rarely, if I have to lead worship and my focus has to be singing and engaging with the congregation as well, I would very rarely use it this way. But if I'm just the musician and somebody else is leading the worship and somebody else is singing and engaging with, and I can pay 100% my full attention to this drum machine, I can trigger it absolutely perfectly, 100% of the time. And this is exactly how I use it. So I think for now, this is. I'm gonna pause this making of new videos. I think the next video I'm gonna get into is when I have set up my Ableton rig the way that I want to. I already have a way of using it, and it works for me. But I think now with the FA's updates, with the 2.0 software update, there's a lot of things that can be made easier. And like I said in the previous video, I'm all about making it easy. If you can make it easy and let things happen without me even having to think about how it needs to happen, etc., I will, I would be forever grateful. So, guys, that is me. I hope these couple of video tutorials can help you a lot in how you prepare. My final thoughts on this is, yes, other brands do make mid-range or mid-level workstations. In my opinion, and I've spent time with all of them. I don't want to mention names or brands because that's not what this video is about. I've spent time with all of them. There's a reason I opted for the Roland FA. The everything that I've showed you up to now in how I perform is just easier with the FA. Yes, the other brands can do it as well. But in terms of setting it up, the speed in how quick you can do it and how easy you can do it on a Sunday morning, for me, Roland has just absolutely nailed. They've nailed it. They've nailed it. I haven't even talked about the quality of sounds in this thing. I mean, you have over 2,000 sounds that come standard. Then you have everything that you can download from the Axial website. There is literally nothing musically, I mean, that you can't do with this Roland FA. If you can think it, you can probably do it. Yes, there are a couple of complaints, but you find workarounds and you figure things out and you make it happen. But sometimes I feel that the guys, if Roland can add a coffee machine to the FA, they would want that as well. I sometimes think that the request that the guys make for things that they would have wanted to have in Roland include in the FA is a bit unreasonable for this price range. I'm saying for this price range. You can have the features that you want, but then you must be prepared to spend double the money. That's just my opinion. For what we've paid, guys, for what we have paid, this is an absolutely awesome machine. You can't compare this machine. Well, in my opinion, you can, but you can't say that a $5,000 keyboard does this better than the FA. That thing's $5,000. This thing is what, $1,500, $2,000. I mean, if you want those features, be prepared to spend all of the money. But I think Roland's strategy, in my opinion, is absolutely right. Workstations, in my opinion, must stay mid-level. I don't think there's going to be a market for high-level workstations in the future. The reason I say that is when you are prepared to spend $5,000 or let's say $4,000 and more, chances are you're a professional musician. And when you're a professional musician, you would probably start thinking about using computers, DAWs, Ableton into your rig, etc. And if you do that, then you don't really need a $5,000 or $4,000 workstation. You don't. Because Ableton does lots of things that you then don't need in your keyboard. So that's just my opinion. I think Roland's strategy was, Let's make a great mid-range, mid-level workstation, um, and let's appeal to guys like Arnold. Um, that is sometimes a one-man band, or sometimes he doesn't have his drummer, or he only has a bassist, etc., whatever it is. Um, and let's cater for that market. If Arnold wants to become a professional musician, he can just add his computer. There's a built-in interface in the FA. He can hook it up via USB, and boom, there he goes. Now, in my opinion, that's a brilliant strategy. I happen to agree with Roland. The next guy is not. But I hope my tutorials have helped you guys, um, and opened your eyes to a lot more possibilities. I think this is an absolute awesome machine. And my last words is, I want to give another shout out to all my friends and the members of the Roland FA06, 07, and FA08 Facebook group. And shout out to Neil again. Thanks, Neil. Bye.